what I do.
Are that child. And we waited 400 plus years, and we're not asking anymore. We are litigating. This is why lawsuits against African nations are warranted. We have the legal foundation, we have the moral justification, and we have the historical evidence. Let me make something clear. If these African governments want to file cross claims and counterclaims against the European nations and the co-sponsors of this horror, then let them do that. But we are not obligated to wait for Europe to pay first. We start at the source. We start where the transaction began, because the truth is the entire global horror show would never have happened but for the active participation of African kingdoms and coastal states who knew exactly what they were doing. They didn't sell people by mistake. They sold people by design for profit. And now, centuries later, we've identified who they are. We see their descendants governing modern nations. We see the wealth, the gold, the infrastructure, the slavery helped build, and we see their silence. We see the indifference, and some of them have even acknowledged their wrongdoing. So what now? Now we sue. And when they're finally forced to the negotiating table, it won't be out of guilt. It'll be because we've applied legal pressure and forced their hand through international law, American law, economic leverage, and moral clarity. Justice delayed is not justice denied, unless we keep denying ourselves the right to seek it. Now, let me address something else. I know some of you are already thinking. You say, Dennis, why not sue America first, or Britain, or Portugal, or France? Let me walk you through it. Not as a talking head, but as a lawyer, as a litigator, as a strategist, as a descendant of those who were betrayed. Yes, America has absolutely participated in slavery. Yes, European powers entrenched themselves by transporting and exploiting our ancestors, but let's be smart. Let's be strategic. Let's stop playing checkers on a chessboard. Suing America, our own government, means we would be raiding the U.S. Treasury. And that treasury is filled with your money, my money. It's funded by our tax dollars. The tax dollars our children and their children after them will have to pay back. So think about that. Why would I rob my own house to pay myself reparations when I can walk next door and collect from the one who sold me in the first place? That's not justice, that's self-harm. That's burning down your own house when the trader is still free and flourishing. Now let's talk about the European nations, Portugal, Britain, France, Spain, and Netherlands. People say they owe us, but let's be honest. They never owed us anything to begin with. They were foreign invaders. They weren't our kin. They weren't our protectors. They were colonizers. They were traders. They were pirates with flags. They showed up. They pulled up their ships. They went to the coastal markets. The markets run by African kings and queens and chieftains and warlords. They said, we'll trade you guns, mirrors, cloth, and alcohol for black bodies. And Africa said, deal. Let me say that again. They don't owe us anything. But the ones who sold us, they were supposed to be our family. Now, here's where the hypocrisy gets real. When you talk to these modern Africans, they'll say, oh no, brother, we didn't sell our own people. We sold members of warring tribes. Okay, fair enough. Got it. So what you're saying is, you didn't betray your brothers. You just sold off your neighbors. Great, keep that same energy. Because now, when we show up in court and say, you're not our brothers, you're not our sisters, you're just another group who sold our ancestors for profit, you can't turn around and tell me, oh, but we are African. Black is black. No. You made that distinction first. You said we weren't family. You said we were just another tribe. You called us Akakas. You called us stray cats. You called us cotton pickers. You told us we were descended from slaves. You told us we were nobody. And then you brought your black behinds over here to benefit off of what we built, hiding under the cover of the foundational black Americans provide. So now, legally and morally, we owe you nothing, not loyalty, not solidarity, and not our silence. You sold us. And now it's time for you to pay what you owe. You don't get to rewrite history because it's uncomfortable now. You're going to get to wrap yourself in kente cloth and claim Pan-African unity when your ancestors were running coastal slave markets. We are foundational black Americans. We are not property. We are not a myth. We are not your cousins. We are the descendants of those you betrayed for profit. So don't ask us for understanding. Don't ask us for forgiveness, and don't expect us to start a fight for reparations with every system that already taxes us. We're going where it started. We're going where the deal was made. And that means we're going to start at Africa. Now let me get specific with you all and talk strategy. You see, a lot of folks want to start reparations conversation in 1619. And yes, that's when the first enslaved Africans were brought to what would become the United States. But from that point until the early 1800s, the transatlantic slave trade was in full swing, and it was perfectly legal under British law, international law, and US law. I'm not here to have a moral debate with you about whether it was wrong morally or not. I'm a litigator. I'm not a philosopher. I don't argue about morals in court. I argue about facts, law, and timelines. And here's the timeline that matters. The act prohibiting the importation of slaves, 1807, it passed Congress and was effective on January 1st, 1808. This federal law made it illegal to import enslaved Africans into the United States. Illegal, criminal, and prohibited. So everything before 1808, horrific, yes, but legal at the time. Everything after 1808, criminal under federal law. That's your clean shot. That's your legal opening. And that's exactly why my proposed executive order and the foundational Black American Slave Trade Restorative Justice Act of 2025 focuses exclusively on the post-1808 period. Shout out to my man, Janetta. Janetta, thank you, baby. I didn't mean my man. Thank you, sister. Thank you, Janetta. Shout out to you all. Let's get into the case study that proves this point. I want to talk about the Clotilda. This was the last known slave ship to enter the United States in 1860, a full 52 years after the slave trade was outlawed. The Clotilda brought over 110 Africans who were illegally captured, illegally transported, and illegally sold into slavery in Alabama. And this ship was burned and sunk in Mobile River to hide the evidence. The perpetrators, including Captain William Foster and the slave trader Timothy Maher, were never criminally convicted. The legal case was attempted, but by the time it reached the court, there was no conviction. None was secured. Some sort of procedural issues, a lack of political will. And so, nevertheless, that's res judicata as to those descendants of those people. So we can't relitigate that case. But we can litigate the broader system of post-1808 illegal slave trading. The Clotilda wasn't alone. There were hundreds of illegal ships. Another notorious vessel was the Wanderer, which smuggled Africans into Georgia in 1858, again, violating federal law. And in places like Lake Charles, Louisiana, They even celebrate this criminal activity during something that they refer to as contraband days, a festival rooted in the illegal importation of enslaved people, among other things. So this wasn't rare. This was a known underground economy run by pirates, traders, and African sellers long after the law banned it. So here's the strategy. We focus on the period after 1808 because there was a clear federal law outlining slave importation. And we have detailed records, we have shipping logs, we have census documents, we have port registries. We know who did it. And we know where often where the enslaved people were taken. We know. And we know it was illegal at the time it was done. And that's what makes it litigatable.
What's up? Welcome to the broadcast. This is Uncle D.
People wash their ass in the tub, Kamala Harris.
You would tune in to Uncle D. This black man talk. Pull up, homie, take a seat. Don't be a shadow watcher every day. You learn something, then you earn something. Let them know and drop some money in the plate. It's getting cold, ladies, talking ratchet. There's a king here, grab your coat, zip your jacket. Keep quiet for a second, close your jaw. Attorney Spurling, this ain't pearly, know the law. Talking Constitution, pushing pins when he shooting, give him that. Masculinity, just for the record, sprinkle that. You can keep your cat, gotta cut it. Only cat he rubbing, gotta love it. I call it Molly Buddy. Gotta vote your interest, voting earns. Presidential, this is for the money that I earn. When you gon' learn, my people, that evil mixed with evil. No matter what you're doing, baby, this ain't equal. Sometimes when you're special, you get hated. The test is for the best, you're damn right, my people made it. Uncle D, Blizzard King, you been served, gotta notice. Now black men out here know we winning, gotta hold it now. Uncle D, you been served, get your notice. Now black men out here know we winning, gotta hold it now. Uncle D, you been served, get your notice. Now black men out here know we winning, gotta hold it now. Uncle D, you been served, get your notice. Now black men out here know we winning, gotta hold it now.
Hey man, I'll do what I do.
Somebody need to whip your ass.
Get up and whip him, Sweets.
Hey, don't be putting the money in my hand all rough.
Take your ass out here. You buy you a Flowbee and cut your own damn hair from now on.